All right, thanks for watching. Today we're going to look at something that is a question in your text, page 97, the check your understanding, question 1 and 2. When you show up to class on Thursday for period 1, on Friday for period 7, you will get these as well as the information that it refers to in quiz form. That said, here are the answers. So you are looking at supply and demand for taxi rides. You have a figure 9.1. That figure is right over here with the diagram, and it talks about the different supply and demand numbers based on fares. So essentially, if what it is saying, if market equilibrium was allowed to take place, there would be a price of $5. Okay, that's the fare, where it'd be 10 quantity demanded, 10 quantity supplied. So what it's saying is essentially what happens if a quota is set at 6 million rides. So we're looking at a quantity control here. Well, at a total of 6 million rides, quantity supplied implies we would have to have a price of $3. Right? That's out of whack with how many at $3 would be quantity demanded. But at a quantity of 6, okay, you end up with a fare of $7. And so what you're going to see is when you have a quantity control, essentially it goes to the quantity demanded because that's the only amount that will be essentially allowed to be purchased. And so if you look at a diagram, we're going to look at this one first, and this purple one here. If supply and demand were allowed to meet, price of $5, okay, total amount sold would be 10, that's this right here, but they have limited quantity to 6. Okay? And so as you see coming up with the red, that would hit quantity supplied at this level. Okay? So theoretically, all those people would only be willing and able to supply it at a price of $3 a fare, but it hits quantity demanded way up here because the signal at 6 million need to get that at quantity demanded is a price of $7, right? And so what this is asking is what's the price of a ride going to be? The price of the ride is going to be $7 a fare. It's going to be $7 a fare because at that many quantity demanded, that's the price people are willing and able to pay. The next question asks for what's the quota rent? Well, the quota rent is essentially the difference between what suppliers would be willing and able to supply at that quantity versus what demanders are willing and able to demand. So it would be a price of 3, it is a price of 7. This distance is known as the quota rent, which you could just label like that or say it's going to be 7 minus 3 is $4. The deadweight loss resulting from the quota, okay, is all of the area, okay, in consumer and producer surplus that you don't get. Right, so that is outlined in this triangle right here. The vertical distance is the quota rent. Come over to market equilibrium, follow a supply curve down, and this triangle right here is your dead weight loss. There's no benefits to either producer or consumer when you limit quantity in this way. And it says what happens to the quota rent and dead weight loss if it is increased this quantity control to 9 million. So if you increase it to 9 million instead of 6 million, comes up, that crosses, so if we say 9 million here, 9 million here, so price of $5.50, willing and able to supply it at $4.50, so the quota rent is $1, the distance from 5.5 to 4.5, and the dead weight loss is a lot less. Question 2, replicating the graph from figure 9.1, quota let's say is 8 million rides, demand just decreases due to a decline in tourism. What would happen, or as it says, show on your graph, the smallest parallel leftward shift in demand that results in the quota no longer having an effect on the market. So if you come over here, okay, and my filmer might, if they can, zoom in a little bit. Okay, supply and demand would say 5 and 10. If there was a quota of 8, okay, the initial supply curve would be there, initial demand curve would be here. If demand shifts, okay, to the left, which is what it says, it has to shift to the left to the point at which the supply crosses demand at 8 million. And at that point, the quota would have absolutely no effect. Thank you for listening. You're starting class on Thursday if you're in period 1, Friday in period 7 with this particular question.